Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. Somewhere out there, it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and still time to call your friends. We'll be right back.
The missing dimension in world politics is the spiritual dimension. The problems of life cannot be solved by material means. Modern civilization is missing the point of life. Human life is meant for understanding spiritual values. Real knowledge is knowing yourself, what you are, what God is, and understanding your relationship and duty to God. It is our duty to understand God, abide by His laws, and learn to love Him. Then all of our problems will be solved. When men are not governed by God, they will be ruled by tyrants. The material world is just like a prison. The spirit soul is imprisoned in a material body which is imprisoned in the material world. We do not belong in this material world. We are spirit souls and belong to the spiritual world. Modern civilization is wrongly directed to the fulfillment of sense gratification, the basis of material life and a barrier to spiritual realization. The demonic believe that the enjoyment of the senses is the ultimate goal of life. However, it is not possible to become peaceful and happy in the attempt to gratify the temporary senses. The result is usually the opposite. A materialistic culture based on sense gratification agitates the mind and senses. Unless one controls the mind and senses, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. The great sages of all bona fide religions were completely free of material attachments because they knew that spirit is permanent while matter is temporary. Our present culture would have us debase ourselves and become more and more entangled in materialism, so that the path to the spiritual world is blocked. The demonic wish to make this planet a closed system where it cannot function for the purpose it was intended. The material world was created to give man the opportunity to purify himself of his material consciousness, for the aim of life is to go back home, back to God. The demonic cannot go back home until they rid themselves of their demonic mentality, and so they wish to make it impossible for anyone else to return home. This is the ultimate goal of psychological warfare, to entangle man in materialism so that he cannot return home back to the Supreme Lord. Mind control in America. Break it.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. It's a big project, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm your host, Dezert-Owl. We've been off for three weeks, but I've been hammering on the keyboard for 12 hours a day, and just accomplished finishing a couple books and starting another one at the same time. I figure we don't have any book sales, so maybe I need to get a couple more books for more variety, more general interest. And so we're going to share tonight the Gospel of the Essenes, which is the one I'm working on right now. We'll have the first edition within about 10 days, give or take, or 2 weeks. And we just finished about a week ago the book of Jasher, and which is a big book. It's about 91, 92 chapters. It's the biggest book of the Old Covenant, but not in there. So we published it. We republished it to make it a more valuable product. Being with the wide margin book and the added graphics and other footnotes and things like that are in there. And then also, of course, we just recently published Barnabas and did the second edition, the final draft of the Book of Wisdom, where it really wasn't finished. I went back and looked at it and I said, I can't believe it. I have all of these loose ends here. So I went back and I double checked the Book of Wisdom, and now it's officially in its best form. Okay, with any typos and things of that nature. Those things happen, and that's where you got to proofread several times to get it all taken care of. And we'll get back to that quote real quick. I know those who have a phone and don't have a graphic screen, they may hear the silence for a little bit. And I just want to read real quick the quote that we had put up for today, the quote of the day. And hope everybody's doing well out there. We do have a pretty nasty world going down right now, and it's only going to get worse as time goes on, because we're in the final phase, and they brag about it in the movies and on in the music and everything else. So the quote was, and I can tell I've already don't have a voice. I haven't been talking much for the last 3 weeks. That's why doing a program is good for me 3 times a week, and we're going to get on it now. But the quote is, the Jews began to call themselves Hebrews and Israelites in 1860. Okay, remember, they're constantly developing their strategy and their plan for deception, right? That's in the Judaica Encyclopedia, 1971. Okay, Esau Edom is modern Jewry. That's the 1925 Jewish Encyclopedia, Volume 5, page 41. I would contend with that it all points back to Babylon and the Assyrian because of the Babylonian Talmud. Okay, but the Assyrian army is the one who has been running the world covertly for the ancient Aryan Brahmin, and with the Hindu front, then in the West, it is the Aryan faction of the Brahmin is Aryan also, and the Hindu are typically Dravidian, so they get the brown guy in the middle, and nobody will figure it out, they think, right? And the last quote is, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or Hebrew. Jewish Almanac, 1980, page 3. So they're a little slow in republishing their books and making corrections and deletions. And every now and then the truth comes out, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that, Ninja. You can go back to the other graphic now. And so I'm deviating from the history of the church and the Gaskell definitions on symbolism right now because of, I know I'm not going to get much out tonight, but I want to share the read. I want to do a special read tonight on the Lost Gospel of the Essenes, and Ninja will have to fix the tag on the program, tonight, so that we tag it correctly. We didn't get together on that. And so the Gospel of the Essenes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a beautiful work. I got that book when I was right around 30 years old, I think. and I've read it over and over. You know, so it's like poetry. A lot of it's like poetry within the ESSENE community, and so I decided it would be a good thing to publish. And I had a really good eye opener today when I was working on the translation, trying to get it ready for the program. What do I want to do? Oh yeah, first of all, I had a question, so I want to take care of that. That's Rilani out in Hawaii. She said her phone system's down. They've been having traumatic weather, and oh, but before I do that, I just wanted to follow up on the reason I put that quote up there because um, we see the Eastern world just seems to have been a playground for the wicked and for their games. And yeah, thank you for putting the link. And also, we're on coffee as well. You got that one also, Ninja Coffee. That's where you can look at the books on PDF. Okay, on coffee. What do you call that? Buy me coffee. You know, and then you can check out the book, and if you think it's worth your interest, then you go to Lulu and you can pick out the price range that fits. We have paperback, black and white, or go to hardcover and color, which is the premium. But it's all premium paper. It's all high quality color inside, and that's why it's a little pricey because we didn't want to go with poor quality. And so check it out. All right, but the what we're seeing happening today in Israel with uh, the political charade circus that belongs over here um, in America, the uh, the blue team and the red team and the white team all running together. Uh, this is nothing new. This you're what you're witnessing basically is a pattern that is identical to World War II, but it started. You can see the pattern, and you know most of the documentaries are giving you like part truth and part lies, right? But every now and then they slip out a documentary that tells the whole truth. And I was watching because I review everything I can as much as possible. I don't watch many movies. I watch documentaries and things that further my ability to be a presenter. And so I saw the documentary, and they were flat out brazen about it that in World War One, they're with Germany and the Turks, they're working together with the machine guns, shooting everybody else on the Western Front. And so in World War One, they admitted right on this documentary that there were 1 million. I mean, that's a lot. 1 million German soldiers, and that all of them were Jews. Okay, so if you had in World War One 1 million Jews for your bankers' army, the bankers' army, go figure, right? That's why they look better and badder than everyone else, right? They had the most special design outfits, right? They were cranking, and always had the best equipment, right? Because they're the bankers' army. And so, if there were 1 million Jews in World War One, how many Jews do you think were in the army in World War Two? Try the majority, especially the leaders, right? And I mean, Hitler was a bastard of the Rothschilds through a maid. Rothschild had sex with the maid, and then they set him up with a fake mom and dad, and but all that came out. That came out last century. With Angela Merkel being the daughter of Hitler, and also Hillary Clinton, Merkel's half sister, because they're both daughters of Clinton, and that's why Clinton gets away with anything under the sun, because that's what they're henchmen. That's what they are. They do. They're already crazy having a father like that, I guess. So they say go do the dirty work that nobody else will do. And so we had 1 million soldiers that were Jewish in World War One, and then in what you see in World War Two, right? World War Two, you see that the smart Jews, what did they do? They got out. They got out of Dodge before it was too late, right? Before the gates close. So all of those who know what's going down, they leave, and they're going to set up their new state, and call it the phony, because it can't be, because Israel was dissolved in 724 BC. That's when Israel was no more, 724 BC. That's like almost 3,000 years ago. You get the picture. And but they're going to go ahead up and set up a phony Israeli state, which are really Ashkenazi Jews from Assyria and Babylon, following the Babylonian Talmud family tradition. And so let me take a sip here. So what happened is that everyone was in the army, you know, just like you see in Israel today, pseudo-Israel. Everyone was in the army in Germany, right? In fact, once they started running out of men, they started bringing in the boys, right? They made them the soldiers because they ran out of men. And then after the double cross, which was, you know, Hitler flees to South America, and I had another documentary of the History Channel right there. They label it again. They say that that's about 60 senior German officers fled into the Alps in Austria, and they were in the basement of a Vatican Catholic church, and the Catholic priest says to all of his other priests that were there, "We have 60 war criminals here, and we're going to protect them." And then they funnel them into Vatican, get Vatican passports, new names, go to South America, live out their life happily ever after, you know. And so the double cross then was on the innocent German people that were not a part of this scheme. And you can see again the nature of the SS, right? Even when they're pulling back from France, do you think they felt afraid of you know, persecution by the winning military forces of America and you know, England and what have you, and the French resistance? You know, were they afraid or regretful? No. As they're heading back to Germany, they commit genocide in every town they go through. They murder everybody, at least all the men. And so when what happens then right at the end, you know, just before May 5th, it would have been May 1st, which is the founding day of Illuminati, but they figured it'd be too innocent, May Day, and they just have it on the 5th as the official end of World War II. But so what do they tell all the remaining German women and men and boys? Here's your guns. We're going to train you real quick to use guns, and you shoot at these Russians when they start coming in. And anybody who runs away will be shot. So they had no choice. That literally it was a total annihilation of a society. And towns like Dresden, totally bombed, totally for that Tatarian architecture, you know, that what they didn't really want us to take a good close look at. They destroyed all of their own buildings. It was a remake of Germany. They took it up as the German Empire in 1871, I believe it was, and then they then take it down. That's the phoenix, you know, that's the classic phoenix flying back to Egypt and then coming back from the ashes as a new serpent. A serpent comes out, a serpent culture. It's always a serpent culture. That's the Vatican. That's Babylon. And so so what do we see again? Oh, they won't let Israel, so-called Israelis leave the country. They can't fly out. You can only leave when so many come in, then so many can leave. And so that they now have a new restriction, and so they're literally being held as human shields. And so this is the classic double cross that you hear me talk about all the time, that there's no honor among thieves and and criminals. You know, we could have other words for them as well, but we'll try to hold back. And so therefore what you're witnessing is an identical take. They brought up this culture they call Israel. All the beautiful buildings, they're hanging out on the beachfront, just wonderful time, sipping, you know, sloppies or whatever. And now all of a sudden, you know, what America and pseudo-Israel combined are doing is exactly what Germany did back in World War II. That who started it? I mean, we have Iran there for hundreds of years, never attacking anybody. And they make all these claims over decade over decade over decade. Netanyahu saying Hitler or Iran is building nuclear armaments, and he said it every decade, you know, for 40 years, over and over. But you know, it never happened, right? But he kept using that terror scheme, and so as a result, you know, they create the ploy that they have to go get him because they might bomb us one day. You see, so we're going to hit you before you hit us. And so who's at fault? And but you got to see really the unseen hand. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. The bottom line is that they're all pieces on a chessboard that are moved by the unseen hand. That Iran, if you look at the flag, remember the colors, I talk about symbolism. The green means they are superior in rank to the other nations, that they got the green, and you see the green in the flag of India. You see the green in the flag in Mexico. And then you see a maple leaf in Canada, but you know a maple leaf has to be green. Why do you think they made it red? Because it'd be too obvious, it would look better green, I think, anyway. But and nonetheless, my point is that this is total strategy, and as this whole scenario was laid out in Albert Pike, head of the Scottish Rite Freemasons here in America, late 1800s, general in the Civil War of the South, and they lost because they had the X on their flag, so they were pegged to lose. Symbolism again. And after the war, he goes and retires in Little Rock, Arkansas, and writes the book Morals and Dogma. And in there they said they're going to have, in the future, near future, they're going to have 3 world wars. And in the last one, they would use Islam to destroy Christianity. And if you know about the Noahide laws, and you know about how the Jews think everybody should be their slave, each Jew should have 3 or 2,000 and some hundred odd, slaves. I mean, they brag about it. You can go do a search right now on YouTube and you'll find it. And so they're the chosen. They consider themselves the chosen, but yet they're not obligated to live piously, because they claim that there is no higher sovereign, that there is no higher power, and that's why they figure they could get away with whatever they want. Or if there is a higher power, because they're chosen, they're forgiven. They got their ticket. I guess the what do you call that? The Vatican was putting out the indulgences. Yeah. But the chosen really means that they were chosen to be the whipping boy on the planet, to maintain control, not to gain control, but to maintain control. They've always been in control of the planet since about 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, since the Watchers came on the scene, probably closer to 7,000 years ago. The fallen ones, the offspring of Adam, the Aryan race that decided they had so much head knowledge, that they could build these giant megalithic structures, and they could put everybody to work. And they said, why not? Let's and they created the priesthood, and then they put their puppet kings in thrones and told them what to do. You're following orders, boy, or you're out of here. That's why the Caesars always looked pathetic. People like Nero, especially. They had absolute insane characters in the throne having a party. Those people can't run empires or civilizations. It's an unseen hand that's moving the chess pieces on the board, ladies and gentlemen. So don't be fooled. Don't get caught up in the drama and say, oh no, this is the way it's supposed to be. They wrote about it. It's predicted. It's the game plan. And so remember, this is not our world. And the good news is this is not your world, and that there is a better world that you can find right here, right now. Okay. So I don't know how much further I'm going to get. I may not be able to do my read. We'll try it again Monday, because we're back on our schedule now. Monday and then Friday will be on, then Sundays. Okay. So I just had to knock out some important translations, and I've got a good rhythm now to get this next book out in short order. So Raylani in Hawaii, she's being flooded. They're doing weather warfare over there in Hawaii right now, apparently, because they didn't agree with what the administration was doing, I guess. Because a lot of the puppets, they're stupid too. They don't know the game plan. They don't know how the bigger picture is run. I'm able to talk about it because the Heavenly Father caused me to become a researcher, journalist, and a political activist with 2 organizations and radio broadcasting, and did lots of interviews with other researchers. I mean, I'm a what's called a polymath now. I know too much, and And you know, the more I learn, the less people want to talk to me for some reason. But they can't get. I don't think they can get past the name, actually. You know, because they want a Fred Smith to talk to, and, and don't know how to deal with the spiritual, entity. When it says in Proverbs, I just took scripture literally. Said a good name is to be chosen over the wealth of the world. Well, I didn't want a Vatican name, and the Catholics, my parents had to get me a Catholic name, and and yeah. So anyway, the good news is that the Father, His grace is great because He wants us to know the truth. The truth is not a part of any lie. Can't have a little truth and a little bit of lie, because then so if you're anointed with the truth, the anointing leads and guides into all truth. And if you're following the sovereign, then He's revealing to you the truth. You see, and so detach yourself from the drama because it's going to play out just the way it's going to play out. What you need is to look inward and to be working on your spirit and on your comprehension of the bigger picture of what is the nature of our universe, who really is control. If the sovereign is in control, they always ask the question, why does He let these things happen? Because He gave us free will. So it's a playground. You can do what you want to do, and you get away with it for a little while, but you'll pay the piper in the end. You're not getting away with anything. And so yeah. So Rilani had asked me, because I was telling her our program is starting. She's not very well connected with her environment over there without a computer and everything. So I just let her know, and then she wrote back. She goes to me, when will the meek inherit the earth? Because she was a little deterred about everything going on, I guess. And I told her I'll answer that on the program. So hey, Rilani. So when you get back hooked up again, with your ability with your internet, um, the idea of the meek inheriting the earth is again, you have to know symbolism and metaphor, because this is not our world, and therefore this is not the place we're going to inherit, right? This is a garbage dump, and will always be a garbage dump. And in fact, they destroyed the world. And if you listen to Dane Wigington yesterday, he came out with his latest broadcast. You got to hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Dane Wigington on YouTube, DANE, first name, Wigington, WIGINGTON, and you will then hear a presentation that'll just blow your mind, and you can share with your friends. But we're really at the end. Weather warfare, and now they're going to lose control of the weather, and it's going to get really bad. And so brace yourself, get ready. So we in Yeshua can become the sovereigns in the earth. We are the sovereigns, because if you can't keep your soul alive, then you're not a sovereign. People in the law movement, when I was in the law movement with a lot of people, we talked about sovereignty. Hey, I'm a sovereign, and then there's stupid people who were calling themselves sovereign citizens, an oxymoron, if they knew what the meaning of citizen was. But anyway, so we are sovereigns in the earth, and when it's talking about that we will inherit the earth, well, as you see at the end of Revelation, it says that everybody that was not qualified to transcend and go back to the light, where do they go? Into the lake that burns with fire and brimstone. That's a volcano. They go back into the melting pot, and so their spirit no longer has a body because the body dies, and so they're lost, and their soul probably drifts through space. That's the best way I can envision it, because they can't go back to the light, and they don't have a body, so they're banished and alienated as a soul drifting through the dark, cold recesses of this universe, because they can't leave this universe through the light. And so I don't want to lose my thought here. So the good news is that when it's talking about you inheriting the earth, It's talking about you inheriting your body, that your body does not go back into the lake of fire that burns with brimstone, but it transcends. It is preserved like the wine, right? The wine has to go into a new bottle, new wine into a new bottle, or else the bottle will burst. And so the spirit, when it finally enters you, because you have transformed yourself in your quality of character, and through the soul operation of soul novation or salvation, and coming up out of the water, a new creation. Therefore, you are being preserved as a vessel that transcends this world. So to inherit a new heaven is a new way of thinking, and a new earth is a new creature, a new creation, a new body, in the idea of that when we go to that next place, you'll be in your prime. You'll be like a 17-year-old again, but all the things that were broken are not perfect. They'll all be schmoozed out, and you'll be, in for lack of a better word, because nirvana might be the right word, but a paradise. Paradise means two dies, so two cuts. So I'm not sure about that one, but Zevana. So I hope that helped you out, Rilani. We don't want to inherit this earth. We want to inherit the gift that was given to us, our automobile that takes us down the road. Okay, we want to stay in the car and go down the right path. Okay, so I hope that helped you out on your journey. And I think it's a good time to go to a break, and then let's take a long one. Ninja will give me at least 7 minutes, if not a little more. Okay, and then when we get back, we'll see where I'm at, and we'll try to give you a little bit more of what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Thank you.
Anybody here seen my old friend Abraham? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seemed good they die young. You know, I just looked around and he's gone. Anybody here seen my old friend John? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seemed good they die young. I just looked around and he's gone. Anybody here seen my old friend Martin? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seemed good they die young. I just looked around and he's gone. Didn't you love the things that they stood for? Didn't they try to find some good for you and me? And we'll be free someday soon. He's gonna be one day. Anybody here seen my old friend Bobby? Can you tell me where he's gone? I thought I saw him walking up over the hill with Abraham and Martin and John.
And welcome back to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here because somebody's got to do it. And that's me, Dezert-Owl, a bird who sees in the night. I see too much. Please show me that blue pill. Where is it? And but I don't know if the red pill is any better, but nonetheless, we've swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker. And now the only question is left: what are we going to do about it, ladies and gentlemen? And again, the good news is this is not our world. So before we get into the writing of these scenes, gospel is misnomer. We got to use all these wrong words, like the word, because that's the only way we can get together when they're original terms that we talk about and use in the translations itself, and you'll see that tonight as well. But first, there's a introductory read that I wanted to do, and like I said, I don't know how long I'll be able to keep this ball rolling here tonight, but we'll get as much done as we can. And so in regard to names, because in the translations, I use terminology, and the question is what happened to the woman? Why do we see in the Old Covenant a masculine, or when we finally, other than the term God, then or Adonai, they took out Yahweh, they took out Elohim, they took out and what's the question? What's in a name, right? Well, everything. It tells you something. It's a statement. It's an expression. And in fact, the expressions are being used for names when they should be used for expressions very often. Like in other words, Michael, Gabriel, correctly, Raphael, Uriel. All these are all one character. Okay, they're not many. We got Michael, the angel, then we got Gabriel. No. You see, these are titles that express something. Gabriel is the Gavrizul, the giver of light. The Michael is the Micah, the one who was like the great father. And Raphael, I think is dealing with healing, the healer. I have to go look at my notes. It's hard to keep all this stuff in your head. But the point is that we've been tricked, just like Jacob means seed of light. And that's why when sometimes in the Old Covenant, you'll see, and my son Jacob, it'll just come out from nowhere like, okay, so what about Jacob? What? But it should be literally translated as seed of light. Seed of light. Oh, yeah, but my seed of light will not do that. Not Jacob will not do that, but my seed of light. You see? And so they do everything to get rid of the term seed of light, the Gavrizul, Gabriel, other than the prediction of Mary, having the inception. So you literally, you're up against a conspiracy of literature to deceive the mass population and to convince people that that this is the way it is. This is the way it's written. This is the way it is, and so what's wrong with that? But the truth is, it's all under control of the serpent cult, the Vatican, a la the Babylon, a la the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthoods. Don't matter what they call themselves, Hindu, Brahmin, Buddhist. Buddha was a great sage, but they took it over. They took over his philosophy. They do it with all the traditions. There's no tradition that doesn't get infiltrated and taken over by them. The One World Club. Okay, so names and titles are important. Name is at the lowest end. A name. So like if you say the name of Jesus, well, you said the guy with his name in the mud, because name is at the bottom. The capital N is the sliding board coming down, and in the letter N. And it means that, and you look in the, Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, it says that name means a corporation, trust, and, a fiction. So, excuse me. So where was I going with that, Desert? So my point is to show that it's about title, and title is at the highest point. The tip is the tip, so the tips are, the tights. The title is tip, and like the Grand Tetons, there's all these different sounding similar words, but change the vowel to an E, an A, an I, and O, and you got the top, tip, So to point out that what we had was at the top of the mountain, but now what we have is in the mud. Okay, the Talmud, by the way. And so what is it saying here? We've recently, within the last year, published the Gospel of the Nazarene, or correctly, the Nal-Zareh, that came down from the light of the sun, with light, to give to all a kind, mankind. Man means criminal and sinner. Go figure. So what it says in that particular book in chapter 64, 3, 6 through 6. That's right. There was 100 chapters basically in there. We've been so tricked and fooled and robbed. It's amazing. So in here it says, and in the Eshan, I'll use Eshan instead of man. In the Eshan, the father is manifest and the mother hidden. Okay, so we see that's mother's creation. She's looking good. She's everywhere. Can't miss her. You're in her matrix. And mother is manifested, the father is hidden. He's spirit. He's behind the mother. Therefore shall the name of the father and the mother be equally hallowed. For they are the great powers of the Almighty, and the one is not without the other in one great sunrise. That says Lord, but Lord is a corruption for sunrise. When it comes back from Adonai, Adonai is the dawn eye, silent A. The dawn eye is the sunrise, converted into Lord. Verily, the Elohim created Eshan, man, in the divine image, male and female. Therefore is the healer and sunrise, the Lord, both male and female, okay, and not divided by the two in one, undivided and eternal, by whom and in whom are all things visible and invisible. So to honor the great Father and to honor the mother Freya, excuse me, which is, Elohim. That's why Elohim is, feminine, but Elohim is feminine, and behind it is the masculine. In other words, the sun. We can talk about the power of the sun, but it's the virgin light. So it's the female light. That's the Mary, the Ma, correctly, Meitzoraim. Mary goes back to Miriam. Miriam goes back to Meitzoraim. And so Meitzoraim was what Egypt was called, not Egypt. That's a latecomer. That's a corruption to hide the truth. Meitzoraim was Paradisia on the river, the Nile River. And Meitzoraim, the women were being called Meitzoraim because they were beautiful like the beautiful Nile River. And also the sun was Meitzoraim. So Meitzar is mirror. Meitzar is mirror. That's where we get the word mirror from. And so everything's a reflection. The woman is a reflection of the paradise. The paradise is a reflection of the sun. The sun is reflecting down and creating all the creation, Meitzar, May, there's the word May for the, springtime in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay. So, yeah, that's why it's important to know Shavors, to know the words, ladies and gentlemen, but then you don't get it anywhere. And books that they're reading are the propaganda machines. That's why I guess I never like to read commentaries. I just wanted to read the scriptures. I don't want to hear what somebody else says about it, what their opinion is. I can read for myself, and that's how we have to go at it. So we'll give it a shot here. Oh, there was one more qualifier. Okay, so Isaiah. Geez, I'll tell you, the way I'm feeling right now, I'm thinking I may just want to do part 2 tomorrow, because I've got a lot of pain right now going with the hoarseness in my throat. So I'm trying to figure out, do I save it or lose it tonight if I keep going? Too bad nobody calls in with a question. We have that Did you put that phone number browser link? Okay, thank you. You can back off on your mic. Okay, all right. Oh, come on, it's too loud. What's going on here? Oh, oh, yeah, it was maxed out. How'd that happen? All right. Thank you for telling me. All right, so let's see. We're gonna be able. I wanted to do one thing, but I'm telling you what, I'm really feeling it. I think this was a good getting back into it primer. And then what we'll do is we'll start right with the Essenes tomorrow. No big commentary on the world scene. We already got it figured out. I said what I wanted to say. Don't get caught up in it. And so we'll look for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, to go into Isaiah real quick to point out that the that Yeshua doesn't need any help. Okay, Yeshua, it's all the play of the one. When the Father made Yeshua, made him perfect. He makes all things, and he is all things, and he's all power, has all power. All power was given unto him from the beginning, and then again given back to him when he rose up out of the water, and the light shone down on him, focusing with the brightness of a dove, but it was a focusing light, not a bird. It was with the brightness of a dove, focusing light, a column of light, because the word column and dove are the same word. Why? Because doves like to hang out at the top of columns. And that's where they got the name column from. But it's, anyway. So he is the sovereign, and he doesn't need anybody's help. And the reason I qualify that is because when I was reading the book today, the translation, I had a revelation. I couldn't get over it, but I was realizing that Zeke had improperly translated the communions, made it plural, whereas he was using the word angels, plural, and that's, you hear me all the time saying the word angel doesn't belong in our scriptures, just like the word Jew, and that he created an idea of worshiping or praying to other entities, in that, and then I finally got it. I realized it was all Yeshua, and therefore he was making it plural, whether it was on purpose or accident. I don't know. I will never know. But the point was that all of a sudden it all made sense, because it was a little awkward to not know, when it was talking about the feminine nature, how do we honor her in the scheme of things, but it was all pointing back towards Yeshua, that he was the force behind everything. That's like, in other words, right, when they were in Meitzar, Egypt, right, parts the Red Sea, does all these signs and wonders in front of Pharaoh, controls nature, volcanoes are going off, earthquakes are happening, firstborn are dying, and then parting the Red Sea, and then the fire on the mountain. That's what Yahweh means. Great mountain of endless fire, come down. Yahweh, his name, and that's what happened. And that's why they call it there today Jebel Al Kaloaz, because Jebel is Yahweh. And so a lot to be said, and I want to be able to get it out and not do it halfway and then have to quit. So I'd rather quit now before I really get into it. Okay, so let's do that. And I apologize. We've only been able to go an hour here this evening, but I'll try to get my rhythm back. And I've got to get me some more of that. I ran out of it. My elderberry and honey juice, elderberry liquid, and I tried taking silver, but it's not working tonight. Okay, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen, my friends who said you were going to be on tonight, and don't forget, tomorrow's another day, and we're going to be back and doing it one more time. All right, so don't forget, I'm Dezert-Owl telling you, if you want to know the future, and you simply need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here, coming your way, somewhere out there, because it's all recorded 7 days a week. It's what they didn't want you to know, of course, that we tell right here, because somebody's got to do it. We'll see you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You to tell your friends, right? All right. Thank you.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never